So many of these videos are going to start with me drinking whiskey in the morning. Anyway, hi. I've got a few little odd jobs to do with binding arrows. This one's a little bit frayed at the moment because it's not glued in, it's just wrapped around, but I can't make up my mind on the colour. So, I've got 5 arrows left. I have 4 different types of green, 1 red, burgundy, we'll see. So I'm going to wrap some of the other arrows I made. While doing that, I want to talk about traditional arrows a little bit. One of my earlier videos to this channel, which sucked, admittedly, was about arrows, and I've been wanting to redo it for a long time, but every time I do, I get like halfway through and it's already 10 minutes long. And it's a little bit boring for me just waffling, but there we go. So as I've got to do stuff with arrows anyway, I figure I might as well chat about them. I like traditional arrows. These ones are bamboo. I love bamboo. Bamboo is a lot of fun. Whether it's in bow limbs or arrows, just bamboo's nice. Bamboo is very, very nice. But the biggest appeal I think bamboo has, aside from the whole, trad notion, I think is when it comes down to shooting requirements. So with carbons and aluminiums and composite arrows, there's more of a, what's the word I'm thinking of? Maybe I shouldn't have started drinking so early. In my defence, I work nights, so this is like my evening. Yeah, there's more of an emphasis on knowing the actual grain. There's more of an emphasis on the grain of the arrow, as opposed to traditional archery or traditional arrows, which is a little more easygoing, I'd say, maybe a little more freeform. When you look at the gauges, it's more suitable for 30 pounds, 35 pounds, 35 to 40, 45 to 50, something like that, which I think, especially in the beginning, is a lot more welcoming than just starting with 600 grain arrows. Well, what's that good for? Well, it's a 45-pound bow, but how much are you drawing? What's your draw length? How much does the arrow weigh? What's the length of the arrow? I think that can be a bit off-putting or a little bit overwhelming in some cases. Certainly it was for me when I started. I winged it for ages, absolutely ages, just gauging it, which is not the best way to do it, but that's what I did. So I think traditional arrows, whether it's wooden, cedar, pine, bamboo, I think they have that edge because they're easier. The downside, of course, is actually an issue I had with this batch. Because they're traditional, because they're wood or bamboo, they're not always perfectly straight, which is an issue. You can straighten an arrow, but it's more of a just kind of holding it and straining it, and it doesn't always work. It's not always brilliant. Sometimes the arrow just snaps. Of course, with these arrows I could have just cut them down to size, but then they're junior arrows as opposed to arrows that are actually good for me. Oh, come on. See, I like the effect of this just winding up, but it's so damn tedious. There we go, that'll do. I still have to say my preferred arrows really depend on the type of bow that I'm shooting. So with the Oneida, for example, I'd rather have carbon arrows. My go-to arrows for ages have been Timber Creek Classics. Before that, Eastern Access Trads. Really, I like the look of traditional arrows. But when it comes to a stick bow, homemade bow, still a lot of thread here. Or shooting the mamba, shooting a traditional bow. I like trad arrows. I think there's a very special feeling you get when you have a traditional bow and you get some traditional arrows. It's just nice. It's much nicer. You would have thought after all this time I would have been able to get the thread spot on. I'm getting closer. Okay, let's see. Can you hear the music in the background? Yeah. Oh, I might actually get away with this. I think I will. Okay, what do you reckon? I'm liking it. I mean, really. The issue I have is I don't particularly see colour fantastically well. So I do like to get other people's opinions. But there we go, that's that one. So at the moment we've got white or green. I think the green pops more. I mean, the rest of the arrow, I've not put the arrow head on, but it's black sprayed on, purple feathers, black cock feather. With yeah, I think the green definitely works better than the white. But I'm not gluing it, so in case I change my mind or another green works a little bit better, I can always jump on that. You can't go back. Better to have too much than too little. Let's face it, with the invention of eBay, these are really cheap. I've got like 25. Missed my feet, it's all good. I got like 25 reels for very cheap, which is nice. Cheap's always good. Cheap's always good. Just not on. So, traditional arrows. The biggest cons is it's not guaranteed to be completely straight. That's more if you're buying from places like eBay. If you're just going to buy arrow shafts and put them together yourself, it's slightly more of an issue. And then you've got the balance of the arrow itself, which is much bigger. I mean, if you're doing shorter distance, 25, maybe even 30 yards, balancing of an arrow isn't a massive issue. But certainly when you start getting into 40s and 50s, and you've got your half dozen, your dozen that all match up, and you're very happy, and then you've just got that odd one or that odd two that go more to the left or more to the right. It's always that one or two just to be really annoying. That's, yeah, that can throw it. But you know, it's workable if you mark the arrows, but then you know, it's just one of them drawbacks that carbons or aluminium arrows don't necessarily have. After my little mishap a little while ago, getting the bit of feather stuck in my hand, I'm more attentive to the start of the feather, because I don't want that happening again. That was painful. I mean, I took it like a man, obviously, but still, it hurt. I had to drink to console myself. See, already I'm not too keen on this colour, but keep going because I've got 4 different varieties of green, so I might as well do them all and then see what other people think. Damn you. There's not much more I can say about traditional arrows. Well, there probably is, but I'm preoccupied and I'm drinking, so there's only so much my brain can do. There we go. Carbons. Hang on. We go for aluminium arrows next. 12 minutes. 13 minutes. Jesus. Okay. Talk a little bit about aluminium arrows, and then I think I'll stop the video there. And I'll get onto fiberglass and carbons in the next one. Or I'll keep going. Who knows? Let's go wild. Aluminium arrows. I've struggled with them. I've seen takedown arrows which look fantastic, great for saving space. It means I can stick them in a simple quiver that I've got. I think the one I've showed you guys before that I can put on my back or on my side, I can put the takedown arrows in that and then head up to the club. That's carrying little with a little cover for my bow, which is nice. It's a nice little gimmicky bit, but it's not major. And the reason that I'm mostly put off with aluminium arrows is the transfer of power. So the basic physics of a bow, just to bore people, the limbs have potential energy which they turn into kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy gets thrown through the string into the arrow, which is why you never dry fire a bow, because you know the energy then just going back into the limbs, and it's not designed for that. But there's a transfer loss, and the transfer loss is greater with aluminium arrows than it is with carbons or trads. There's a few other factors to take into consideration, but that's just one of those little things that gnaws at me for no reason whatsoever. That plus aluminium arrows can bend. No, that's not acceptable. If I wanted a boomerang, I'd get a boomerang. Maybe, why not? Okay, I'm going to leave that dangling for the moment because I'm likely to undo this. But at the moment of the greens, I mean, you can't really tell it against a black back. I mean, I have another arrow here that I left bare for the feathers, so maybe that would go better on that one, but I don't know. I mean, so far, yeah, the lighter lime seems to pop the most. Yeah. Okay, that's 2 done. 2 done, have a swig. 16 minutes. So I've done 2 hours, that means this will probably go on for half an hour. It's a little bit longer than I'd like to do. But I've touched on traditional arrows, a little bit of downfalls. Aluminium arrows, I mean, the biggest downfall I can see is they tend to bend or slightly arch, which can mess up your shots. It's the same reason why trad arrows have that worry when you buy the shafts online, that there is that chance of getting some in that have that arch. But I think really it falls to personal preference, whether it's carbon, whether it's composite, whether it's various traditional, whether it's aluminium. I will do another video on the last, composite, carbons and fiberglass. I will do another video on them, but largely it is just personal preference. I mean, when it comes to the fletchlings or feathers, for me it's personal preference, but I'm more of a trad shooter, so I do lean more towards feathers. The only real difference is you can shoot a feather off of the hand as well as off of an arrow rest. You can't really shoot veins off of hand or off the shelf, because feathers, they react quicker, they adjust much quicker. Plastic veins don't. Might be able to get away with it, again, if it's short distance, but then it's, you're never really going to be that pinpoint accuracy that I think we're all looking for. But yeah, that will do it for this video on these particular arrows. I'm going to crack on and carry on drinking, even though it's not even 10 in the morning. I hope you enjoy your day.